Hey, what's going on, everybody? Shmoop back at it again here. So I just wanted to make a video on the ARC Warlock because I feel like it is being slept on this season. It is incredible what it can do. So first, I just want to throw some really quick numbers out there with the base Stormcaller and Storm Dancer's trance without the artifact buff with brace damage. It's a little inconsistent. There's two different numbers that pop up. I'm putting them all up here on screen. I could only test out ×6 for the max before it ran out or he died almost every time. Now I'm going to put on the two best perks, Thunderous Retort and Amped Up. I couldn't put on Shock and Awe yet, which is only going to make things just even more crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and get Amplified, and I'm going to go in and decide to start damaging the boss just to do a quick little damage test, and you'll see how fast he honestly gets melted. It's pretty great. So I'm going to launch it here while Amplified. I get the Thunderous Retort buff there. And every time I do it, just because of the way Destiny numbers work, it's 24 to 25%. It varies a little bit. But I just showed you the ×5 there. Obviously, it goes up higher than that. I think it goes up to ×10, but could only get the ×5 there before he died almost every single time, or the super ran out, one or the other. But you see, again, a 25% buff. I'm going to go ahead and use Chaos Reach. And here you'll see it does 1619 per base, and then it does occasional lightning strikes of 8500, which not half bad. But now if we go in with the artifact mods, go ahead and get Amplify, which with that, it goes up to 20 seconds, which is phenomenal. Now you'll see that per tick we're doing over 20,000, almost 21,000, and the lightning strikes, interestingly enough, get bumped up to over 11,000 per tick. That's amazing. Now obviously, it doesn't increase the damage with Geomag stabilizers, it increases the duration for that. But now I want to get into the weapons. So my favorite weapon to use in this build is the Volt Shot Aikilos SMG. Any weapon with Volt Shot will work. There's going to be some honorable mentions in here, but the Aikilos SMG is absolutely insane. Just Feeding Frenzy, Volt Shot, I love it in every tier of content. It's great. And there's a few other things I want to showcase that you can use here, but if you have this, this is basically number one. Now, the other main primary I would honestly suggest using if you want to go for an exotic is the new Seasonal Centrifuge. Now, I do not have the Catalyst unlocked for it yet, but all the Catalyst does, it's pretty great actually, is while you are amplified, it causes it to continuously gain charge. So when you reload, it loses charge. You're always going to be amplified with this build, so it's always going to be gaining charge, which is phenomenal. Another great thing, it blinds targets, which is great for stunning champions. This is like a cross between like Tommy's Matchbook and Trinity Ghoul. It's freaking amazing. Now for some honorable mentions in here, I don't know why I keep like clapping my hands, you're not here. For honorable mentions, I would definitely say Risk Runner is kind of a defensive option. It can chain some lightning. It has a hard time running out of ammo. You do need a Pulse or Storm Grenade to damage yourself to use it though, so keep that in mind. Trinity Ghoul, OG, just ad clearing machine, but it doesn't do any subclass verbs. Again, this is why it's a backup. Divinity, great trace rifle, it debuffs, it has overload built in, but we have that covered so you don't have to worry about that. It's great though, and a little bit in there if you want to do like Trespasser, because its arc works. Delicate Tomb, if you want to use a fusion rifle, perfect for the build. You could absolutely 100% use Delicate Tomb. It's great, it jolts, it's all about ionic traces, it has synergy, but again, I think that the Aikilos SMG or the new exotic auto rifle have way more synergy just because they have subclass verbs and they get into it. For an exotic heavy, you can use literally whatever you want. I've been using Thunderlord. It's great. Now for the primary, I would recommend either Deliverance or the Tides fusion rifle from Crucible. Both of them get Chill Clip, I think. Riptide, that's what it's called, Riptide. Either one of them with Chill Clip is amazing, because as long as you run the flashbang grenade, which I love running in this just because it gives you great survivability and it helps with ads, you run this, which allows you to freeze and slow, which again helps with champions, but also it gives you coverage for barrier, because if a barrier is frozen, they can't put up their shield. Wither Horde is the, I guess, exotic I would put in there if you want a little bit more boss DPS and kind of like just an all-around exotic that'll help a little bit. But trust me, I'm going to throw in a strike at the end of this, and you'll see I never once needed my fusion rifle, and I could have used it whenever, but never needed it. The MVP is Fallen Sunstar. It's not the greatest to look at, but you are going to be creating ionic traces like a madman with this build. And when I say that, I mean every 1 to 2 seconds you're going to have an ionic trace. Like, the more ads, the more this build is just like, oh god, yes please. And you get even more back from them with Fallen Sunstar. Now, you could use Crown of Tempest if you want. It works well, especially with the Aquilos SMG and your grenades jolting targets. When we get into the actual build itself, that works just fine. It gives you them back quickly as a constant recharge. It does increase the duration of your Storm Trance when you have conduction times up, which is also nice. I think either one of these works, but I do like Fallen Sunstar more because it lets me use Chaos Reach. It also helps out my teammates by giving them some increased regen, so it's a team play kind of thing. And on top of that, just how many of these ionic traces we're making, I feel like it gives me my abilities back faster than Crown of Tempest. I do also want to mention Chromatic Fire here as a backup. If you have Arc equipped, when you get a precision kill from your kinetic weapon, keep in mind it has to be kinetic, so no energy, it will blind them. Survivability has the potential to stun a champion, so just wanted to throw that out there. Obviously, if you wanted more boss DPS, go for Geomags or the Storm Dancer's Brace for the extra damage on your super. You can do either one of those. Again, these exotics all flow together. I always just keep on the Fallen Sunstar or whatever that stupid looking crown is, but it's so good. Yeah, Storm Dancer's Brace, that's the name of it. Again, it goes up and it gives you a lot of super energy back. But I'm just kind of call it the crazy hairdo of a helmet that it is, just with all those spikes, the metal punk. It is absolutely amazing, and you're gonna see why. So again, I like Chaos Reach, the way it jolts. It has a lot of range. You don't have to be up close, so for any kind of boss DPS it works. I do recommend Healing Rift for your survivability. I do like the Chain Lightning melee because you're always going to be amplified, so it chains way more. You'll see it's amazing. Flashbang Grenade is my favorite grenade in this build. You can use Storm, you can use Pulse. Both of them do good damage, but the Flashbang gives you way more utility, and when it jolts, it's doing all that extra damage. Arc Soul, amazing. You're always going to be amplified, it's always going to be up, it's always going to be shooting 6 instead of 3 bullets and faster. It's perfect. It, again, synergy. Electrostatic Mind is one of the many ways we're going to be creating ionic traces, and it lets us get amplified through the ionic traces. So I think these two aspects are the key to this. I've been messing around with the fragments a little bit, but I think I got it pretty settled. The last one's a little back and forth, but we'll go over those here. So Spark of Discharge, it's basically one of the 3 ways to get an ionic trace. Your Arc Grenades Jolt. I highly recommend this. It's great. It helps you deal with champions, more damage, perfection. Jolted target defeats, Ionic Trace. So there's number 3 of getting Ionic Trace. Spark of Discharge, Ions, and the aspect of their Electrostatic Mind. Perfect. So with that in together, you can either do Spark of Volts. You don't really need it, to be honest with you. Beacons is okay as well because you can spread some blind around. Frequency works, but I'm just going through, and I think when you go through all of these, more regen, we don't need it. We don't need more time. Magnitude works for Pulse and Storm Grenades. If you're going to run those, I would say run Spark of Magnitude. But Amplitude lets you create an orb of power with rapid kills. So between the traces and your orbs of power, you are going to be getting so much cooldown and so much super energy. It's just insane. There's nothing this class can't really plow through. And we do have a little bit of survivability mixed in there with, you know, our discipline mods, resilience mods. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to run a strike just because I am not in the mood to do a nightfall, but it works just the same in the nightfall. It's great, and even with the increase in damage to ARC this season, it's still going to perform fairly well outside of that. There is so much synergy going on, but this season, especially Season of the Deep, oh my god, you should be running this. If you are on a Warlock, this ARC subclass is one of the best in the game without any hesitation. And again, Achelos, you can get 100 on it if you went the recoil direction, but the backup mag, it has a small clip. So magazine, I do recommend it. And aside from that, it's just some mods that I would recommend. I mean, I have mine put in the way I like, and I think this is best. It's not too complicated. So 1 discipline, 4 resilience mods just to get there. Heavy ammo finder. I do have on the arc siphon just for more orb generation, which, you know, more orbs the better. Helps with everything. There's actually a few things it ties into, so you're going to want to make orbs. I do 1 grenade kickstart and 1 fauna focus just for even more grenade cooldown. A concussive dampener for survivability. Reserves, do whatever you want. Better Already and Innervation are a cooldown for your grenade and health regen. Double bomber. And then the stacks on stacks and time dilation combo just to make, you know, those grenade recharge last a little bit longer for that. But yeah, so you have your healing rift, and when you pick up an orb, your health starts regenning. You're always creating ions, you're always going to be amplified. Your super is going to be up every literal 2 to 3 minutes if you're in there. Just, it lets you mow down almost everything in the way. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Mess around with it. It is a stupidly fun build to run. I mean, especially if you're just farming out, like, it is just, it's not one of those builds where you just have 1 gun that you're using. It's not like you're just mindlessly going through a Trinity Ghoul. This, you're constantly using your abilities, you're cycling through. You don't even technically have to use the Volt Shot SMG or the exotic primary that came in this season. I am drawing a blank on the name of that gun. I am terrible at this. But anyway, yeah, it's great. Like, there's not much it can't do. I've messed around with it in Nightfalls, but I just wanted to throw a strike up just because it seemed like a more fun way to do it, because you could really get the power fantasy out of it this way. And it is just disgusting. I mean, every time you use your rift, you're getting your grenade back, and you're gonna have your little arc buddy up doing insane damage, who your arc buddy, when he gets kills, can also create ions, because it is technically an ability. And even if you blind yourself, you're blinding everything around you, so you're getting that jolt off, and you're getting that sustainability and survivability out of it. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I'm trying to make these a little better, maybe a little longer. I'm not entirely sure on that yet. Leave a like, please. Please leave some comments. Let me know what you'd like to see better. And yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next video. I'm just going to let this play out for now. If you want to watch it, you can. If not, peace.
Guess we can element of surprise. Hard to hide a giant Cabal Brachus.
I don't wish to hide. I want Savathun's brood to see the agents of their destruction.
We can't reclaim the stolen light, but we can punish the Hive for their blasphemy. Target every tribute bearer you find, Guardian, and wipe this place clean.
how the mindscape works, but anything wearing Saladin's face is trouble.
Run it through with the spear, Guardian. Commander Zavala, I've just received a report regarding a missing cruiser from my...